Yo guys, what's up? Shadow here, and welcome back to Space Engineers! Let me refill my oxygen before I go and start this episode properly. There we go. So, as you can see, we have come far, haven't we? I just realized last time when I watched the episode that we still haven't completed this thing here. But I think this is like the crowning thing at the end, that we will basically finish off the cockpit and then we're done. So we'll continue back here. First thing I want to do, because after this we will begin with the process of placing all the fucking thrusters. So it is imperative that we produce a fuck ton of thruster components, I think. That is going to be majorly important. So let's begin with that. Alright, other than that, any space engineer related news? Yes, there are actually. Well, news. It's not really news, it's more like rumors, slash things developers have said. I'm mainly talking about something Marek Rosa has said in the Space Engineers Reddit. There was a post about basically it was about space engineers not having goals. You know, it kind of fed into what I talked about last time with progression, actually. So let me just read this real quick, or at least try while I place blocks. So he says, basically he says, thanks for the topic, yada yada yada. I agree with everyone who says engineers or space engineers should have goals slash challenges. This is our long-term roadmap too. Alright, some confirmation there. But of course there's again this term, long-term goal, you know, so no near future, as I would imagine. And then he goes on to say, but for now we don't want to focus on polishing the... For now, we want to focus on polishing the game, creative and survival, while keeping the game open-ended. Alright, so again, this is basically what they have said for a long time now. Makes sense. And then, once this stage is done, once we have the solid basis, then we'll start adding various goals and challenges. Some will be purely about engineering, or survival, or war fighting, or single player, or multiplayer. Think about it as having a general tool, current space engineers, versus narrow specialist tool, future space engineers directions. We don't make it too narrow too soon. Okay, so that's interesting. So they have that in mind, the progression thing that I talked about in the last episode. But again, near future. They want to solidify the game before they go into that, which is understandable. But, funny enough, also on the topic of progression, on the last video, a guy with the name Demos left a very, very good comment, because I think last time I mentioned about that players are skipping, or was it the episode before last time? I don't even remember now. Anyway, he said about the topic of skipping progression, because I mentioned that a lot of players skip planets entirely because they just don't want to deal with that, and that's basically some kind of progression that space engineers already have, and people keep skipping it. Not all, of course, but some do. And he actually said, yeah, there is actually even more. I'm paraphrasing here, by the way, so that's not exactly what he said, but I'm trying to paraphrase it as good as I can on the fly here. So basically, there's a lot more progression mechanics that people are skipping, and you know, I didn't even thought about them, but now the way he says it, it makes a lot of sense. And he's talking about multipliers. You know, all these fancy multipliers, the large inventories, the faster refineries, refinery efficiencies, and whatnot. And he's completely right in that sense, that if you of course have inventory on realistic, or God forbid, even all the multipliers on lower settings, if you're a madman, yes, it will make the game progress not only slower, but also in different ways. For example, it's also something he mentions, the whole inventory management system, it needs to change. For example, if I go to my my mining ship here, this thing, you remember how much resources we managed to pack in this, right? Now, this is of course a big ship. Now imagine I would have built a small miner ship, like something along the size of this, like maybe 1, 2, 3 drills, 1 or 2 cargo containers, like that. It wouldn't really be that good, because you could get a lot less cargo in it. And if you would have more cargo containers, you would make the ship like way too large for its purpose. So one solution would be cargo ships. Something that's not really an issue for me, because I can combine cargo and mining ship. Because, as I said a few times, I put all the multipliers on highest level because I don't want you to watch me flying back and forth for 5 hours to grind for resources. But he is completely right in the fact that this is some kind of progression. Although I would probably rather call it difficulty. You know what I mean? Because indeed it makes you employ a bit different strategies, ergo it changes the game progression. But to me, these multipliers more feel like a difficulty setting, you know, like super easy, like the setting I am on right now, which I have to admit, yeah, it's kind of dumb, technically speaking, I know. Especially the inventory sizes. I think that's one of the major things. I mean, also refineries too. I mean, I have 2 max, like, upgraded refineries, and I'm basically set. No, actually I have 3 refineries with the ship, but, you know. And I will probably not need more ever. But if you would put different multipliers on, 2 of these refineries would not be enough. I would have to build lots more, meaning I would have a larger platform, more solar panels, etc, etc. But yeah, to me it feels more like a difficulty. And I think a reason why a lot of players are skipping this, I mean, I have like an excuse to skip it, even though I can admit I make myself this game, I make my life easy with these settings. That's exactly what it is. I think a lot of players skip these because, yeah, there's I guess several reasons, but I think in the old days we would have called that grinding, right? And I think a lot of people just don't want to put up with that anymore. And I mean, again, the Moss points this out in his comment as well, that people of today, they get addicted to like the quick achievement, like, oh, I've done X and then I get an achievement for that, and there's something I can unlock, and boom, boom, boom. For example, I think he mentions Minecraft, which is exactly, I think, that system. You know, you open your inventory and ta-da! Yes, you've done something. Good for you. Have a cookie. And yeah, that is, I wouldn't call it a problem. It's more of a symptom of today's time, I think. Because that's just how today's gaming world is. There's a lot less grinding games. You know, if I remember back to what I played in my childhood, like maybe like Final Fantasy and stuff like Diablo 2. My god, Diablo 2 was a grind fest. I mean, yeah, you could progress through the first difficulty setting quite easily, and then the second one, yeah, that was still challenging, and then, my god, on the last difficulty, it got really fucking you know, difficult, and you had to grind for for uniques, they're called in the game, I think. You had to grind for for your equipment, for runes and whatnot, you know, so you could finally beat that one boss, maybe, if you're lucky. And yeah, I don't know. Even though Diablo 3 still have these kind of grinding things, it feels a lot more easier. Same with, again, Final Fantasy. I know I played this game for 180 hours or something, and I'm pretty sure, like, 100 of these hours were spent grinding and leveling up my character so I can actually defeat the boss. And a lot of today's players are not, you know, ready for that commitment anymore, it seems. And I can catch myself doing the same thing. Although, again, I will a bit later come up with an excuse for that. But, yeah, it seems that people want, you know, these quick adrenaline rushes where they do something and they get rewarded instantly, like instant gratification. It's like a symptom of our times, I think. You know, with all the social media things, you get likes, you get views and whatnot. And yeah, I think it's kind of a symptom of our times in general. So let me just break off of this ramble for a quick second here, because we have finished the backside here. Now, what is the next step? The next step is putting all other thrusters on. Yay, this is gonna be crazy. But I'll have to think about this for a second. Maybe I could put like a construction on here, like wings at the back. Not like, maybe not wings, but like structures that go to the side and will host more thrusters in them. That could look cool. Let me whip up a design here real quick. But anyway, going back to the quick achievement kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot of games that make fun of that kind of stuff, right? Like the Deadpool game. You get like 3 achievements in the opening sequence, and Deadpool is kind of, you know, he's making fun of that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why that is exactly, you know. Are people just not as patient anymore today? I mean, that could be a huge factor, I guess. Is it just a natural evolution of what gaming has become, you know? I mean, there's still difficult, and I'm not sure if grindy is the right term, but very, very difficult games out there. I mean, if you talk about like Demon's Souls and all the Dark Souls inspired games, I mean, yeah, I know it's very unfair to call everything that is difficult Dark Souls. That is like game journalism level of descriptor here, I know. But it's the easiest way to, you know, let you guys know what I mean. Games like Cuphead or stuff like that, that in the olden days you would have played that without blinking an eye, and today you're like, oh god, that's so difficult, I won't even bother, because I want progression. I want to feel like I'm getting somewhere, I guess. And here I'm coming to the excuse that some people might have. And it's not only, you know, oh, these damn youths of today, they have a short attention span. I think another factor is that, well, not necessarily the youths, but, you know, people like me. And I think there's even better examples than just me, because I still have a lot of free time on my hand. But there's people out there, gamers, that are now in their 30s, maybe even older than that, and they got a demanding job, they got a family. You know, they have lots of commitments they will have to honor, and they gladly do. But they still want to play games. Now, that of course means there is a conflict of some sort. Because, let's be honest, if you have a family, if you have a job, if you cannot spend like 6 hours a day playing a game. You just can't. And if it takes 20 is maybe not enough. Let's say it takes 50 hours for a game to finally, you know, get good, or for a game to get interesting, then yeah, that's probably not worth your time. You cannot sacrifice that much time on a game. So you'd rather play something casual, something that gives you that quick kick of, oh yeah, I did something, and then you go into your family life again. I can understand that too. So I'm a bit split on this whole situation, you know. For one, I do sometimes love very grindy games. And on the other hand, sometimes I just wish to do a quick 1, 2, 3, shoot people in the face and feel good about it kind of game. But yeah, if you're going back to Space Engineers, I think it's absolutely right. People are ignoring progression partially. I can understand why. But to say that Space Engineers has no progression is just false. That is... I can't accept that. And even though I hope that if Marek Rosa is talking about achievements, challenges, and stuff like that, he's not talking about... I don't want to bash Minecraft too much here, because I already did, kinda. You know, that it's not going to go the Minecraft route and be like, oh, you opened your inventory, here, have a gold star. No, no, no. If I really hope that if he puts in challenges, they will reach from, you know, at least kinda not difficult, but, you know, sort of challenging in a way that you have to think and not just randomly can achieve them, to very, very difficult challenges. I hope there is something in there for everybody. I do not quite know what that would entail. I mean, obviously there would be some very easy challenges, and I don't know if they're actually... If that is the kind of challenges that should be in the game. Something like, build a ship that has... I don't know, weighs 1 million tons. Although that's kind of a weird challenge, because then you can just throw together like steel blocks until you reach the amount. So that's not a smart goal. So I wonder what kind of engineering challenges will you have, you know? How complex will these challenges become? It's really hard to tell, you know? So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that. Although, as Marek Rosa said himself, this will take a while. This will not be tomorrow, or in a month, or maybe not even in a year, so... But yeah, I kind of like to talk about this kind of stuff, you know, gaming in general, the, how gaming has evolved from what it once was, you know, the medium that it was, to how it is perceived today, how the games have evolved, because there's a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have stayed the same, of course. But yeah, difficulty is a very interesting... Difficulty and progression are two very, very interesting topics, I think. And yes, Space Engineers would definitely profit from a interesting challenge system, however you want to call it. But, of course, as I said, don't make it too random, don't make it too, like, piss easy. You know, I'm always trying to think about how it should be, and I always keep harking back to, like, Empyrean. Because in Empyrean, obviously, if you do things in Empyrean, you level up, you gain skill points, and you can unlock recipes. Although I'm not quite sure that is the right way for Space Engineers. Because if you have a game that players could play from the beginning with all the blocks, and then you suddenly say, nope, I'm gonna take away all your toys, you now have to unlock them, I don't know if that will go down well with the community. I have to be honest here. I don't know if that would be received very well. But that of course would be an option, you know? That it basically says, yeah, when you start your world, you're a level 1 engineer, you can only build atmospheric stuff, you can build wheels, you can build very, very basic shit. And then you have to level up. But again, I don't think that's the right way for Space Engineers. Space Engineers should be about the challenge of, you know, creating interesting things with the tools, and not about unlocking the tools. In Empyrean it makes a lot more sense, since it's a survival-focused game. You start with nothing and you build up. And you get better. Same with, I think the same system is in Conan Exiles, which I need to take a look at it again in the future, because my god, this game is still alive, which I would not have believed back then when it started. I thought this would be one of these games that would go under and never really surfaced again. But it kind of is a Space Engineers kind of game, because it stays in early access. It stayed so long in there, and now it has evolved. But yeah, it has the same kind of system. You start from zero, you level up, you gain recipes, and you kind of, at least on multiplayer servers, you kind of have to specialize. You know, you will have one guy who can craft all the cool weapons, another guy will focus more on crafting recipes for buildings, you know, so he can build all the cool walls and shit, you know, stuff like that. And it works in these games. I don't think it will work in this one. I really don't. And since we're talking about difficulty and features that people deactivate, there's another feature I'm not 100% sure about, since I now have played with it on for a longer time. And that feature is meteorites. Or, no, not meteorite. Meteors, I think. Meteor storm. Yeah, it's called meteors. You know, the things that fuck up your bases, basically. That's what they are. On our server, we play with meteors on. And I think it's interesting. Until, like, a few days ago. Because my biggest problem with the meteors is that they're not random enough. In some sort. You know? As far as I understand the meteors, they're always coming for your base by some means. I think they aim for the beacon or the antenna or something. I think that's the aim or the logic of the meteors. And even on the weakest setting, they, you know, it's a going on battle for keeping your shit safe. And you have to make quite the effort to keep it safe. Of course, you can like build underground or stuff like that. But for example, this space station, this wouldn't last long. Even though meteors don't deal as much damage as I thought they would. I really overestimated the meteor damage, but they still can wreck your base if you don't watch out. The biggest problem with me is, because I'm a player that... My goal in Space Engineer is basically to get to a point where I can say, yes, this is self-sustaining, I can leave this here and go to something else. And with meteors, that's not possible. It is, as far as I know, impossible to have a perfect defense against these things. And here again, this is the moment where I definitely changed from my past self. I think my past selves would have loved meteors and would have played with them every time. But somehow, now I want to be able to say, like, yes, I have created a base that can defend against this stuff, I can move on and create something new. But this is not possible, of course. You need to always supply your turrets with ammo. If you're building a shield, which is a possibility, you always have to repair it. I guess you could make like an automatic repair thingy, but still, that would need iron, at least. An indefinite supply of iron. Which again is impossible. So, I don't know. For me, meteorites, they should be... Or, let's put it that way. The way meteorites would need to be that I actually consider playing with them, they should be either a lot more random, meaning that there could be meteor storms that completely miss you, or they could be like more localized. For example, having meteor storms around one specific planet, you know, because then you know when you go into that planet, you need to be prepared, you need to watch your shit, otherwise you get blown up. And I think that's cool. Have we run out of iron? Are you kidding me? Have we run out of iron? We haven't we? No, we haven't. You're lying! But we have run out of space. That is unfortunate. There we go. There we go. Now we have some more. Okay. So yeah, for me, the meteors, because they're like global and everywhere, they really piss me off. You know, for the first, like, I say 20 hours or so, I really liked meteors because they created this semblance of danger. You know, every time there was a meteor storm, I was like, oh, is it going to hit my base? Is it going to destroy a solar panel or something like that? But after that time, I was just like, oh god, another one of those. Yeah, we're gonna waste some more ammo, and then we have to. Again, this word, it becomes grindy. You just have to do it over and over and over again, and I don't know, that's not fun. At least for me. I mean, there's probably guys who have it on cataclysmic and have a fucking laugh. And more power to you, really. If you like playing like that, you do you, right? That's the beauty of Space Engineers, in my opinion. You have the options. You can change the game in the way that you want it to be, which is nice. You can, you know, put all the multipliers on. You can put all the oh god, what am I doing? Jesus Christ. Welder, there we go. It's a bit of a problem when I'm talking. I cannot talk and play games. Well, I can, but I cannot talk and about such a subject and then do like difficult and actions that actually require brain power. You know, like writing down names and stuff of containers and whatnot. So, yeah. Oh, no. Oxygen! Oxygen! Ah! Emergency! That was close! Oh boy! I was talking so much I was running out of air. That's like typical me. Alright. Oh, that was golden. But yeah. This is how I feel about like meteors. And then the other funny thing is we activated wolves on the server and they did jack shit. They just stood around and barked, basically. They really didn't do anything on our server. I don't know why. I don't know if they're bugged or what, or if they were changed. We basically didn't bother with them. And we set up our turrets in a way that they could not really fire at the ground, so they didn't waste any ammo on those things. So, yay. Good wolves. Alright, let me finish off this construct here so we can have a nice preview screenshot. Or at least that we can see how this looks, if this looks appealing. And if not, I'm gonna destroy everything again. No, I hope not. Damn it, there we go. Maybe I will... now let me just think about this. It's fine. Because if it would be a battleship, this would be a terrible strategy, because that is not secure. This will be like prime target for any opponent. Just shoot these things off and you don't have any more frontward thrusters. And you're basically done for. So yeah. Kids, if you're designing like a battle cruiser or whatnot, don't do that. Don't do what I just did here. That's a terrible idea. And... does this look okay? Maybe we could... let me think about this for a second here. Maybe we could help this design a little bit with some of these chaps. Maybe? You know, kind of quote-unquote mask the thruster a little bit more. That could look okay. And now, here again is the part where I get frustrated that we don't have certain blocks. Because that looks stupid. Oh, that is kind of frustrating now. That's the thing, again, in Empyrean that I like more, that they have so many different kind of blocks. But let's just see how that looks, if we put it like that. I mean, that masks the thruster... I think okay. It does okay in that sense. Alright. Gives the thruster here a little bit of a shield to the side, you know. Does that look okay? Yeah, that looks okay. Does not look like super mega cool, but I think it works. Alright, cool. So next time we will replicate this on the other side, of course. And then we need to think about, for one, up and downward thrusters, which we could either put back here, or maybe we'll put them... I don't know. We could... Technically, we could put them like here, you know? Have them like point up and down. Well, maybe not above the hangar. That's maybe not the smartest idea. But maybe, you know, here a few, and... Because I'm not a big fan of just sticking them into the bottom, if I can do it otherwise. But it is an option. And then, of course, sideward thrusters, which would probably actually be better if we stick them like on here or something. But yeah, our ship is getting forward, which is good. And now it at least can fly forward and backwards. Alright, let me get the nice preview image. Somehow, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna put this in, what kind of look I'm gonna go for. Maybe a top-down view or something. Anyways, guys, I hope this was not too rambly. I just wanted to talk about this whole thing because, again, the Moss made a very good comment, and it really made me think about this whole thing, and I hope I could, like, visualize or audio visualize my thoughts in a way that they were understandable. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.